Welcome to the bold analysis. Different political theories have been advanced to try to explain the concept of political lying. And while the deceptive influence, some see it as a mid to having a covert influence, or rather to convert people in terms of converting people to think in a specific line. But the modern day politics is using the deceptive influence on the mass to influence their consciousness in order to impose certain beliefs and values in people. Now, what is driving me to this tool of political manipulation, the deception in politics, is because it has made our politics to be very indecent and unhygienic. Total chaos. Today, the country was treated to another political lie in the name of importing electric motorcycles and cars, motorbikes and cars in the country in the next 3 months, and the president boldly putting a very brave face telling the country that this is going to reduce the cost of transport significantly, because the electric, the fact that these automobiles will be using electricity will reduce the demand for the fuel, because the fuel prices are hiking globally. And I just want to ask a simple question. Are electricity prices in Kenya going down? Today, just a subscriber reached out to me and saying, "Hi Kevin, my house has been locked." No, so I should not say the whole thing. Yeah, don't want to expose. But then this is what happened. When I went there, we paid, I think that was 150 for the token, and we were given 4 units. I was shocked. 4 units. So how is importation of electric cars and motorbikes, it is saying that these fellows are going to replace what they are using to use that electric because it doesn't consume? I don't know. My Uber friends will tell you why they opt to use gas instead of petrol. But when you ask an someone in that space about the future of electric cars and motorbikes, then they will tell you it's no better. It's just another lie. And maybe what is the difference between this and the gas? Because the gas later changed to the cylinder and not the gas. I don't know how this can change from electric car to something else, but this is the promise that I'm talking about.
For this reason, we are rolling out an electric vehicle public transport system which will bring down the cost of transport significantly. Our border industry is about to experience inclusive transformation through the introduction of more efficient, affordable and clean motor vehicles. With this intervention, owning and operating a border will become affordable, secure and profitable. I am eager that this information reaches the seconder of my presidential nomination, Mr. Calvin Ochieng, who operates in Kilimani, so that he can escalate his hustle to the next level. I have some good news for my border friends.
That was the promise that was made in Embu. I was seated there listening and immediately said it. I tried to look at the faces around, and I can tell you, I was sitting in the middle of the chiefs, where those, not chiefs, the assistant chiefs, I was seated actually around that place. So when I looked around, I realized that everyone else was shocked. And people became a bit, a bit aggressive. Is that just another lie that has just been said? Everyone else was shocked. I'm telling you. Now, when you listen to the president, I totally agree that the conversation is taking about issues about us. But remember, there is one observation I've been saying and I want to repeat here. Whenever William Ruto is having a microphone in front of him, he is under undue pressure to say something new. And the indicator about that, there is something in politics that no one will tell you about, and a politician will not say it in the top of the sunroof. This is called insecurity of tenure. And William Ruto's insecurity of tenure, if it is to be measured in an index of 10, then the level of insecurity of his tenure is at 8. Remember, the disputed vote between Ruto and Raila was 200,000, with all the discussions about hacking and Western influence. And I may be wrong, but if an election is to be done today, you can really get a shock. So the reason why this promise is coming is insecurity of tenure. And so I want to take it a little bit a notch higher and look at this, my 3 PowerPoint, why Ruto is behaving insecure. Very insecure. Wants to please everything. And you realize that when Waziri, when you go to these counties and these leaders line up development requests, they are asking, make us that road, make us this one, do that one. You will see the president rising from the seat and promising to do all of them. Then you wonder, where is that money coming from? There is a clip by Matiang'i asking William Ruto back then where that money is coming from. Let me get for you that video a bit here before we look at our PowerPoint.
When a political leader, a national leader, tells people, I will put aside 150 billion for market women, I'll put aside 50 billion for boda boda, I'll put aside 100 billion for this. I know how much our budget is and the projected growth of our budget. That time you have not talked about the amount of money that you are taking to counties. You have not talked about transfers for the education sector and so on. Where are you going to get that money to provide that kind of service?
The tragedy that has befallen this country is the fact that I always looked at it during campaigns. I know that deception is a tool that is used so that you win the votes. But at least after getting it and getting into power, you need to be very realistic. You need to be very realistic on everything you are doing. And just recently, the Anglican bishop is asking the president, take ownership, and yes, what you promised is unrealistic. But even when you are in power, you know what you can do. As now, by the time you're campaigning, let's assume you did not know what was happening. Now you're the president, you know the level, you know how much this country is making a day, you know the real projection, what we can get. But to still make these promises, it looks a bit indecent and irresponsible. But this is my PowerPoint why Ruto, there's the 3 signals why I see Ruto tenure is insecure. People are becoming more vigilant throughout his tenure, taking stock of the lies. Now there is a danger of, when I listen to the president speaking in Embu, he's committed. He has that narrow, he's not going to be convinced otherwise about that finance bill, and especially the 3% housing levy. There is something fishy in it, and maybe we will have to give ourselves to fate, and peace will pass it. I agree. But this is the danger. The more you force unpopular policies on the population is just becoming vigilant. And in fact, I listened to William Ruto saying that Kenyans are arguing about whether their money, someone will eat their money or not, or rather how it. You in fact was saying that Kenyans have not refused to give the money, the deductions. They're only worried about whether someone will feast on it. That's it. This is it, Mr. President. Kenyans, leave alone even the worry about they're going to feast on it. That we can normalize, because we actually know it will not be a shock to realize after 1 or 2 years that the housing fund has become a scandal. What Kenyans are getting worried about is what is the motive of the fund? Why is it being forced on people? And the more you force such unpopular policies on the population, people are taking stock and they are waiting. I can tell you that there is already a perception, and there is a perception that is sinking the population that Ruto is a liar. Kwamba the deception is part of the UDA administration. And they will suffer something I once analyzed in this podcast, in this channel, known as cumulative damage. The cumulative damage, I once analyzed it about here, is a situation where you have said one thing until people have accumulated it. As in, you've lied until people have accumulated you as now the street liar. And so, one of the reasons that is putting his tenure, making his tenure is insecure, is this issue of pushing unpopular policies on the people. Now, let me look at this incident, and that's my second bit. I think UDA and President Ruto has become a bit irrational when dealing with critics. Very rational. I don't know whether you follow how Seth Panyako resigned from the party. I want you to listen to his speech when he's actually explaining how literally President made a call to him, and at the end of that call, he was no longer in UDA.
Lakini jana niliongea na rais mwendo saa moja, tukazungumza, ikaonekana kwamba msimamo ambao nimechukua kupinga mambo ya housing na kupinga mambo ya kuongeza gharama ya maisha hainiruhusu kuendelea kuwa kiongozi wa chama ya UDA. Kwa hivyo hivi leo, kwa niaba ya rafiki yangu ambaye alikuwa anasema vile yalivyo, natangaza kwamba nimeondoka kwenye uongozi wa chama cha UDA. Natangaza kwamba nimeondoka katika chama cha UDA, na mimi nimeamua kukaa na wananchi. Maana tulipokuwa tunatafuta kura.
Now, that was Seth Panyako saying he was called. And I remember when we were having a discussion with someone was even saying that even God does not punish people that way. Imagine if God will be in heaven, and whenever someone makes a grave mistake, he would actually call and say, he will call maybe these pastors. Imagine if God will call Mackenzie and reprimand Mackenzie for what he has done on indoctrinating the people to starve to death. What will it be? So it is a very strong baptism, and it just shows you how he's a bit irrational, because there are many critics, including Gathoni Mushamba. I saw some unconfirmed social media story that she was removed from the WhatsApp Mount Kenya WhatsApp group simply because she's opposing the finance bill. So that shows you that she's a bit impatient with those he believes are a threat. And if you take the route that whenever you see someone not in conformity with your rule or with your policies, then that is the person to leave the way. Then how many Kenyans are going to leave the way? In my next podcast, I will show you what exactly is happening, how the system is falling. So that irrational dealing with the critics, not in a man that doesn't have a listening ear and cannot accommodate, shows you how insecure maybe has looked at. Now, the public perception of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, better, is dented to the core. It is dented. People are not feeling it. I may be wrong. If you're feeling the bottom up, if you're feeling the hustler agenda, the kind of hype and the way it was marketed, the way it was pushed during campaigns, you will actually see a difference. You know, I normally wonder, when William Ruto was a deputy president, he did not have a budget, a government budget. He was doing it under his own political vision. And people will troop to Karen and be given motorbikes, cooking gas, sewing machine, you know, and quite some were given wheelbarrows so that they are empowered. And by that time, that political empowerment was actually seen as that is what we're going to do. And there are quite a number of people that when they saw those things, when they saw people receiving sewing machines and car wash and water tanks in Karen, that is the kind of the mental picture they created that in bottom up we actually want to raise. But I told, and I think I analyzed here, that whatever was happening in Karen was just for the optics and was just imaging the concept of I want to be close, that I care for those in the lower side of the pyramid. Now, if you look at now where president has the state power, the resources and everything, are you seeing more of empowerment of Mama Mboga? Are you seeing more of that? No. Within this week, there are 2 strikes. I wrote in Kawangware, there's a protest by traders because their stalls were brought down. The same happened here, I think, around Upper Jogo Road. People's stalls were brought down. Now, you are not seeing a single cabinet member or a single program by the government that is geared towards directly impacting the society. What you're only seeing is direct taxation. So without that feel, something is simply not adding up. And that is why I can say it's upon Azimio to take this. I don't agree that Ruto cannot be defeated. I'm not agreeing with that. It is very possible if you make a free and fair election, even today, I am telling you, people might get shocked. People might get shocked by the kind of the turnout, and number 2, the outlook of the results. It's upon making sure that things are in order. The deception tool that is used to manipulate the masses is very unfortunate. But then, that's the nature of our politics. Let's meet in the next case.